Sorry I'm late. We like to make an entrance.
Hi everybody. Thank you for being so patient and for waiting. I'd just like to introduce Gayle Forman to you, who's going to start by talking about her books, and then we'll take some questions at the end. Okay.
Do we have we don't have a computer set up. Oh, we do. Excellent. It's back there. All right, good. I'm actually not going to talk to you about my books. Can I turn this down a little bit? The volume? Thanks. Hi, everybody. I don't know if I need this. Can you hear me if I just talk? No? All right, I guess I do need this. I'm going to start voguing like Madonna, like in the 90s. I have to find a place that's, hold on. Too many wires. Anyhow, I'm not going to actually talk to you about my books yet. Technical. Hang on. Yeah, all right. Because first I want to talk to you about something really important, which is American candy that you don't have here. Yeah, sweets. Do you guys have Reese's peanut butter cups here? No, we're going to have to do a lot of cultural translations. I know you call it sweets, candy, boot, trunk, garage, garage. I know, I'm bilingual. But I want to talk to you about this particular candy briefly because it's called Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. First of all, does anybody have peanut allergy here? If you have peanut allergy, don't eat this because I don't want to come here and kill you. This is a candy that is chocolate and peanut butter. All of the peanut butter doesn't taste anything like real peanut butter. And in the 70s when I was growing up, there was a commercial for it. And it had a guy and a girl at a movie theater. And the guy had a jar of peanut butter. I don't know why. Does anybody go to the movie theater with a jar of peanut butter? This guy did. And the girl had a chocolate, a bar of chocolate, which you do take to the movie theater. And I guess the movie got scary at one point. They go, and they slam together, and then the peanut butter and the chocolate go together, and then the guy says, "You got your chocolate in my peanut butter." And she says, "You got your peanut butter in my chocolate." And then they taste it, and they go, "Oh, it's delicious." And then it goes, two great tastes, it tastes great together, Reese's Peanut Butter Cup. Why is this American author here talking to us about 70s TV adverts? See, I called it, not a commercial. That will become clear. Because what I really want to talk to you guys about is my books, which we can discuss in a bit, but really the question that I get most as an author, which is where do you get your ideas from? And I don't get my ideas from candy. I get my ideas for books. It's this particular collision of two things. Every author has their own inspiration moment. This is how it works for me. And then we're going to talk about this a little bit, and then we're going to start writing our own story. And I'm going to need some of you guys, want somebody to type, and I'm going to need all of you to be crazy and imaginative. So, on one hand, I have premises. You guys all have these in your head. They're called these like little what-if things. They're the things that you think about when you can't sleep at night. You know, it could be as simple as like, what if I don't get into university anywhere? What if I never find a job? What if, like for me, when I was little, I was very concerned with what if the wolves were going to eat us? As if we lived out on the prairie as opposed to in Los Angeles. But no, every night I asked my sister, what if the wolves eat us? They're not going to eat us, Gayle. What if the wolves eat us? Or what if the moon crashes into Earth? It's not going to happen. What if? You know? What if? What if aliens invaded? You know, what if I fell in love with a vampire? What if the government decided who I love? These are all premises of novels. What if scenarios? Taking it to my books. What if something catastrophic happened to my family and me, and I was in this limbo state between life and death, and I had to choose whether or not to live or die? What if I received a suicide note from my very best friend completely out of the blue and found out that she was dead? Those are the scenarios. Those are the peanut butter. They're like the solid foundation, the roots of a story, but they are not enough. They are not a Reese's Peanut Butter Cup. They are not the perfect candy yet. Because what you need, in addition to all those what-ifs, because I've got hundreds, maybe thousands of those spinning around in my head at any given moment, is a character. A character. So take that what-if story. What if something horrible and catastrophic happened to my family and I was in limbo and had to decide, live or die? That spins around in my head for 7 years because of something that happened to me, because I'm morbid. And then one morning I wake up, and there's this girl, and she's right there in front of me, except not really. She has dark hair, she has dark eyes, she plays the cello, which was news to me because I don't play the cello. I don't know anybody who plays the cello. I'm not really a fan of classical music, but there she was. And I knew, at that moment, I knew this girl. I felt her pretty strongly in my bones. I knew she was going to answer that what if question. And that was the moment that the book was born. It was the chocolate and the peanut butter. It became If I Stay. Another what if. About 5 years ago, I did a magazine article about young women in suicide. And one of the stories really stuck with me. There was this really sort of bright, beautiful, charismatic young woman who had gotten involved with a suicide support group that encourages your decision to end your own life. And she'd written email suicide note on time delay. And some of her friends, when they gotten this note, because this girl seemed so bright and so outgoing and so bubbly and had hid her depression so effectively, they had no idea it was coming. And so I thought about that at the time, how jarring that would be, because even talking to the friends and family of this girl about her, it was kind of jarring because I kept having to remind myself, oh wait, I'm not interviewing them because she directed a movie or released an album. I'm talking to them about her because she'll never do those things. So that's a what if. What if you were on the receiving end of that note? Like, what would that feel like? And then one morning I wake up and I can imagine a girl named Cody, who is that best friend, who lives in that dead-end town in eastern Washington with this girl who's just so charismatic and bright and has the entire future in front of her, getting this note, and how that would feel. The raw grief, the anger, the confusion, the guilt. And that's what started. I was here. So now, what I want to do with you guys is I want to make some peanut butter cups. So I want to come up with a what-if scenario and a character. And then we're going to add some of the other stuff that goes in to making a story. Like setting. Anybody here know what setting is? Yes. Where it takes place. Exactly. Excellent. So setting can be as confined of a space as a corner of a library, a campus of a college, a city, or it can be someplace completely made up. A lot of fantasy novels have settings that are, those impossible to pronounce, lots of consonants smushed together places that you read about in Game of Thrones. That's a setting as well. It has to be real, though. You have to make it seem real by creating specific details about it, especially if it's a fantastical setting. So you need setting. What else do you think you need in a story? We have one character, and we have a conflict. I just gave one away. We have a premise, we have a setting. What else do we need, Gayle? Huh?
Side characters. Side characters.
What do we need? Side characters, yes! I even gave you awesome, fantastic. We need side characters because like one character in a book is pretty boring. So I usually start with that main character who comes to me, but as I'm writing, the story becomes populated with other people. Other main characters, side characters, yes. And then the last one I gave away, it's not the last one, but the last one I'm going to talk about is conflict. Sometimes the conflict is inherent in the premise, and sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's just suggested by the premise. So in the case of I Was Here, the premise being, like, what would you do if you got this note from your friend? The conflict is then really what happens with Cody when she begins to investigate her friend's death and begins to think that it wasn't just a straight-out suicide, that her friend was sort of pushed into it, and what that raises for Cody. And the conflict is really actually internal with Cody about, psychologically how she has sold herself short through her entire life, et cetera, and so forth. So, with all that said, I need a typist. I need somebody who can take some notes. You get a Reese's Peanut Butter Cup for typing. It's the first one to go. These are really delicious sweets. Really? Uh-oh. No typist? Oh, excellent. Thank you. What's your name? Paul. Paul's going to type for us. Come on up, Paul.
In Word or something?
In Word. Yeah, they're going to just pop you up. You have a piece of Reese's Peanut Butter Cup right away. And what's going to happen now is it's going to get a little fast and crazy now. So you're going to kind of like take notes. If you don't get it exactly, it's fine. We are going to be coming up with, I want to hear your what-if scenarios. This doesn't work if you guys don't give me your ideas. And you can give me your crazy ideas, because sometimes the crazy ideas with a little bit of tweaking really work. Or even work as the completely crazy ideas. So who has a what-if scenario for a Reese's Peanut Butter Cup? No? I saw that look. I'm just going to stand up here and dance. It's really bad. What if? You guys have them. What if the world ended tomorrow? What if this is all a dream? What if, what if? It's always hardest to go first. Come on, somebody, you can do it. What if I got home and everybody vanished? There you go. All right. Who's got another one? What if you woke up and the sun had gone out? Or you lived in England and you never saw it because it's always cloudy. We've got another. You back? I'll throw it. It'll be really fun. I've only taken out one eye in my whole career. Come on. We need some more. Come on, guys. All right. What's that? What if you lose all your memories? Here, I'm going to have to put you on candy duty now, Liz. I'm sorry, I don't remember what you said. What if you lose all your memories? All right, let's get some more. Oh, you guys are so quiet. Yes. What if you turn out to be immortal? All right, what else we got? How good are these Reese's peanut butter cups, guys, right? Like, tell them, just tempt them with the candy so they know how much they're missing. If we can't get them to do it just for sheer creative ideas, we'll just bribe you with candy. We're not above that. What if? What if, what if, what if? Yes? What if you wake up with 3 arms? Kind of helpful, actually. Did you throw that with your 3rd arm? Well done, Liz. What if? What if?
What if your entire life was a soap opera?
Ooh, what if your entire life was a soap opera? And you were not a Kardashian. All right, what else we got? Let's get a couple more. Yeah. Oh, wait, hang on. Okay, you first.
What if you were blind?
What if you were blind? Okay, what if you were blind? So what if you woke up one morning suddenly blind? Let's put it that way. Okay, did you have something up here? I heard.
I do.
Okay.
What if you wake up and you have the urge to kill someone?
What if you wake up and have the urge to kill someone? Okay. All right, back there. What if you wake up as a baby and you realize your whole life was a dream? What if you wake up and realize your whole life was a dream? All right. All right, we'll take a couple more.
What if you lose your ability to walk?
You lose your ability to walk. What if you lose your ability to walk? All right, 1 or 2 more. Are we good? All right, Paul, you're not done. We still. Oh, you have one.
What if you decide you and your 6 friends must die?
What if you would decide you?
And your 6 friends must die.
What if you decide you and your 6 friends must die? All right. All right, so let's take a look at these. We're going to scroll back up. All right. Let's scroll on up to the top. Or is this up? All right. So if we look through the list a little bit, you can see that there's like kind of some, there's some similarities with some of them, right? Everyone vanished, that's one. You wake up with the urge to kill someone, or you and your 6 friends must die. Like, that's the sudden homicidal urge. You also have one where you wake up with a sudden disability / a 3rd arm. So there's that. And go back up. How come it's not going? Make it go back up.
Okay.
Make it go back up. I'm a Mac girl. And then the sun vanished. Be careful. Soap opera. What if your life turned out to be a soap opera? that looks like it could kind of be comical, or it could also sort of be a little meta where you realize your entire life, this also goes in line with your life being a dream. So where you realize that your entire life as it was is actually some kind of fictional construct. So that it could be something Matrix-like, where you realize that you are being controlled by another force, or I don't know if anybody saw like the Truman Show, where you realize that your life, which you thought was your life, is maybe actually a soap opera, and all this time you've been in a reality show. That could kind of be funny. So I'm going to narrow some of these down, and then we're going to vote. So let's go with the like sudden disability. Like I like the idea of waking up one morning blind. So let's try that one. See where that goes. Let's bold that one because we're going to vote.
Which one?
We're going to do the blind. All right. We're going to do. Let's do the soap opera one too. We can decide which way we want to go with that. And let's see. All this killing. I don't feel like killing anybody today. What do you guys think? Do you want to have the sun go out, or do you want to have everybody vanish? What do you think? They're both really bad. The sun go out? The sun go out. All right, let's do the sun go out, because I actually had to do a little research, and I was here for what would happen if the sun went out. There's a little passage in there about what would happen if the sun actually went out. It's really bad, and very quickly, really bad. I can even like read to you what happens if I can find that passage. All right, so let's think about this. You wake up and the sun has gone out. If it's really gone out, it means everybody pretty much dies within a year. So we're going to have to sort of figure out whether it really has gone out, whether it's like an evil scheme, whether it's reversible, whether this means that you're going to have to like go off into space to settle something new. That's the kind of question that story will create. We'll be talking about your entire life was a soap opera. I think we talked about that a little bit already, like what the kind of story that could be. It could be like a Matrix control story. It could be more of a humorous, you are living in a reality show and you don't even know it yet. Or if you wake up blind one day. So we're going to do a vote. If you want to wake up with the sun out story, raise your hand now. Okay, hands down. If you want your entire life to be a soap opera, raise your hand now. Okay. If you want to wake up blind, raise your hand now. All right. Okay, so we're going to go with the waking up blind. Let's start a new page. Excellent. Get rid of all the rest. Okay. So here's the thing that we have to now ask ourselves. And this is another question that I often get is, how do you write a whole book? All those pages, how do you do it? Because once you start thinking about something, it starts clicking off a series of questions in your head, like, what if you woke up blind? Now I am thinking here, is this going to be a story about somebody who literally wakes up physically blind? Like something happens in the night where physically their eyesight is gone. So that is one particular story, and that would look like kind of a very realistic contemporary story about somebody adjusting to this new life, and et cetera and so forth. That's one story. Another way to look at it is there something going on? Are we looking at this as metaphoric? Another way to look at it, there's a very famous novel called Blindness, where everybody starts to go blind, and what would society look like if everybody goes blind? So what do you guys think? Where should we take this? I'm not writing the story. I'm just going to stand up here. What do you guys think? You voted for it. What do you think? Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. What story interests you? We're gonna discuss this together. We're gonna move forward together. Yeah.
Being blind metaphorically.
What?
Being blind metaphorically.
Being blind metaphorically. Okay, so that's kind of interesting. So maybe there's something going on. Maybe you wake up blind and they can't find anything wrong with you. So what would be a reason that a character might lose. Well, first of all, we got to figure out, are we going to have a guy or girl? Should we do the heads or tails toss again, Liz? All right. Liz is going to figure it out because otherwise we have like gender war. So what was it? Heads was, we'll switch it up. Heads will be guys this time, tails will be girls. All right. Tails. All right, we got a girl again. All right, so we have a girl. What are we going to name her? Well, let's actually figure this out. So are we going to see her? She's going to wake up. She can't see. She's metaphorically blind. I like that. But what would be kind of a reason that somebody would turn metaphorically blind? Think about it. Did you guys read Oedipus? Yeah? What happened? Why? What did he do? Hmm?
He killed his father and married his mother.
And then what happened?
Stabbed him in the eyes.
Right. So because
He didn't see the obvious.
right, don't see the obvious, or maybe you saw something horrible. If you're going to be metaphorically blind, and I like that idea, then it has to be for a reason. We have to think about that. That's the immediate question. So what did this young woman we're writing about, what did she maybe see that would have caused her to go blind? What do you guys think? I already have my books that I'm working on. This is for you guys. What do you guys think? She saw somebody get murdered. I like it. All right, let's name this woman who wakes up one morning having seen somebody get murdered. What's her name? Let's give her a name. Hannah? Anna. All right, Anna. So now here's a question, because these as the story starts to unfurl, we have more questions. Anna saw somebody get murdered.
Just interrupt you for a minute. Just letting you know, we've sent an email to all your teachers to say that you're going to be late for your lessons, so don't rush off in a panic to get to your 10-2 lessons. We can carry on for a bit longer.
How long do I have?
Well, the lessons start in 5 minutes, but you've got longer than that. We've let everybody know.
But I want to give them time for questions, or if they want to get books. So when should I wrap?
So should we say about 5 past, 10 past to wrap up, so that you've, well, 2 o'clock, so that you've got time to
All
do
right,
some books.
gotcha. All right. They're leaving anyhow. They're like, I want out of here. All right.
You can stay, it's fine.
So the question is, Anna, the metaphorical blindness, she saw somebody murdered. That makes sense to me. Why didn't she immediately go to the cops? Why is she in a situation where the reaction to this is metaphorical blindness? Yes? Someone she loved. She can't face the truth, and so she goes blind. Excellent. Excellent. See? It starts to come. So who? Who did Anna watch kill who? So she saw her mom kill her dad, or her dad kill her mom?
Maybe someone she loved, for example, a man.
What?
She is someone like romantic, like she loves someone, like a man, and then he just kills someone like that. She never actually has that side.
So like her boyfriend killed someone. All right, so Anna's boyfriend has killed somebody. It's getting dark already. And Anna cannot face this truth. And so instead of like coming forward with it, she goes blind. So now you see we've got something to work with, because we have Anna, we've got the boyfriend, we've got the dead person, presumably we've got Anna's family, but we also have a conflict. Because the conflict is not just that Anna has gone blind and she's going to be like waking up and her parents are going to be taking her to the doctors, like, why is she blind? They're going to be doing tests, we don't see anything, we don't know what's going on, but she's completely blind, she can't see anything. There's this whole other thing that's going on, which is that there's going to be a murder. It's a crime story, and there's a mystery, and Anna is going to have to be the one to solve it, and she's going to have to unlock it, and maybe, to make it really interesting crime story, we put a twist in there, where what she saw is not what she thinks she saw. And so we have a situation where something where it's not just, because the story of Anna really knowing who did it and having to kind of come forward with it, that's kind of a different sort of story. That's more of a psychological story if we want to take it down the crime road, and those are two different stories. So we have story A here, which is Anna sees her boyfriend kill somebody, and is so besotted with this guy and unwilling, and like an obsessive love, unwilling to kind of let it go, that she goes blind. And you see her relationship with him, you see it over the course of the book, and you get hint by hint by hint as she slowly kind of gets her vision back, even though she doesn't want to, that he did it. And then at the very end, she realizes he did it, and he tries to kill her, and they fight, and then her vision comes back, and she gets him, and it's all okay. That's one story. Another possibility, if we want to maybe make it less of a psychological story about Anna and maybe more of an actual crime story. Anna sees this crime. She goes blind. She can't face it. Maybe it's not the boyfriend in this case. Maybe she doesn't really know what it is, but she has to kind of solve the crime while blind, while trying to figure out the mystery of her blindness. And there's a twist because she thinks it's one thing, and that's why she's turned away, and once she faces up to it, I don't know. Two choices. We're not going to make that choice now because we're not writing the whole book, but this is the interesting thing about books is you go in, at least I go in, knowing the start and usually knowing the end, but that whole middle bit I figure out because I'm like writing away, and it's like, well, why is Anna blind? Oh, she's metaphorically blind. Well, why is she? Oh, she saw something, and you continue spinning out questions, and then you answer the questions, and then new questions, and eventually those keep going, and you have a book. So that's my spiel about how we build stories. If we had longer, we'd keep going. I'm supposed to really be talking to you guys about, Paul, you're awesome. Thank you. You can sit down now. I'm going to read you the first chapter of I Was Here before you get really scared. It's a page. Because then I don't have to tell you what the book is about. I'm very bad about doing that. And then you can ask me questions because you seem overwhelmingly chatty. And I know we're just going to run out of time. So I'm going to read you this really fast, and then we can go from there. Your fault, Meg. She emailed copies of the letter to her parents and to me and to the Tacoma Police Department, along with another note informing them which motel she was at, which room she was in, what poison she had ingested, and how her body should be safely handled. On the pillow at the motel room was another note instructing the maid to call the police and not touch her body, along with a $50 tip. She sent the emails on a time delay so that they would be long gone so that she would be long gone by the time we received them. Of course, I didn't know any of that until later. So when I first read Meg's email on the computer at our town's public library, I thought it had to be some kind of joke or a hoax. I called Meg, and when she didn't answer, I called her parents. Did you get Meg's email? I asked them. What email? All right. That's I Was Here. And now I know you guys have burning questions for me about writing, about books, about the movie of If I Stay, about the movie of Where She Went, about New York. What? Who's first? Oh, I know, not everyone at once. Okay.
In I Was Here, what made you decide to write the character? Like, how did you decide to write a book about how the people around the person's death felt rather than about the individual?
She asked, why did I decide to write the story about the people around the person? Like Meg is the woman who takes her own life. Because that's how it came to me. Like in terms of like when I was thinking about it, was like, what would it be like to be on the other side of that note? And I was interested in Cody's story as the survivor story and what it would feel like. I mean, I don't know why I didn't want to write a story about Meg. I think there's something, even though I write stories that have sadness and loss in them, I think my stories are really ultimately very hopeful because they're about resilience and hope. And I don't know how I could write a story about somebody who takes her own life that was that kind of story. It's just not the kind of story I wanted to write. So for Cody, even though she's devastated and angry and betrayed and all sorts of horrible things at the beginning of the book, she kind of comes out of all of that. I mean, the loss will always be a part of her, but in trying to figure out what happened to Meg, she discovers a lot of things about herself and gains something from it. So that's why. Good question.
Any other questions?
The actors in If I Stay, do you think they portrayed the character really well?
Did you see the movie?
Yeah.
What'd you think?
I thought it was
Yeah, I know. I was really pleased with the film, and you know, when I was part of the script development, so I sort of saw the drafts and was able to give notes on the drafts. But when they started casting, Chloe was already attached to play Mia, Chloe Moritz, and I knew what a spectacular and diverse actress she was, and so I knew she could pull that off. And then one by one, they started casting the other roles, and it was like, wow, that person's perfect, and that person's perfect. But the real big question mark was always Adam, because it was such, first of all, Adam is so very firm in my mind. I have such a picture of him. So people would always say to me, who do you think should play Adam? And I had no idea. And the producers and director really wanted somebody who could sing and play guitar, and the guy had to be hot and sort of charming and vulnerable and swaggery and really be believable as an up-and-coming rock star. I'm like, who is going to be this person? And not be too old, because Chloe was 16. And then they had the 6 finalists, but Jamie Blackley was one of them, and he was such the clear favorite. And when I saw him, it was crazy, because he just was like Adam. It was like they had gone into my brain and extracted Adam. So I was very, very pleased with all the casting. So.
Any more questions? What motivated you to carry on writing?
What motivated you to carry on writing the whole story?
Oh, what motivated me to write Where She Went? The second one, is that what you're asking?
No, like to finish it off, because I've like started things before, but I never.
Yeah, well, how old are you?
17.
You're 17. I get that. Like, I think what motivates me to carry on writing a book is that the book itself has its own propulsive momentum to it. So, you know how when you're reading a book and you're really into it and you can't stop turning the pages, when a story is really clicking, the writing is like that too. And it's not like that for the whole book. Like, there's always part in the middle where you're like, oh, where is this going? And the pace is really slowed down. But at that point, you've got such a chunk already and you know where you're going. You kind of muddle through it. So part of it is just the story itself, and kind of what we were doing before, where you start down a road and you start asking yourself questions. And if the story is the right story for me, because sometimes it's not. Sometimes I lose steam, and to me that's usually a sign that it's like, yeah, this book, it was a false start. Like, so in the book I'm going to write, I usually start a couple of books before I hit on the one I'm going to write, and I have written at least like 3 or 4 entire books that after I've written I'm like, yeah, these aren't good enough. So.
Do you plan the whole thing, or do you just?
Do I plan the whole thing? I don't. Some authors are they outline. Like, I have friends who outline, and they color code, and it's very specific. For me, I know where I'm generally going. I know the beginning, and I kind of know the end. And then the best part, my favorite part of the writing, is that I don't know what's going to happen in the middle. And every time I start a book, it's like this crazy leap of faith, because I think, is it going to work this time? Are all these characters going to kind of show up, and are they going to make sense? And is it all going to kind of, all these threads that I start to weave, are they all going to kind of come together at the end? And it happens. So that's my favorite part, is sort of not knowing where I'm going and then discovering it along the way, and it feeling like that was the way all along.
Any other questions?
Paul.
Most of the books deal with like sensitive topics. So is writing them like taxing, like emotionally or physically?
I don't know if it's taxing. It's cathartic sometimes. Although when I wrote Where She Went, the sequel to If I Stay, I give my sister copies of the books when I like a draft, when I'm pretty close to done and it's pretty polished. And she read it and she called me up and she's like, "Oh, I forgive you for being such a bitch." Because apparently I was channeling Adam, and I was like, you know, he's very difficult in a lot of that book. So I guess that there is some of that, but for me, like, even if it is emotional at times, like I definitely, with If I Stay in particular, I cried my way through that entire book. It still feels quite, it doesn't feel bad, it feels cleansing, like the way sometimes a good cry can feel. So.
Any further questions?
I got one.
Yeah.
You know, with your characters, are they based on real people? Do you make them up? And like, how do you develop them into like to become so real?
Are my characters based on real people, or do I make them up, and how do I develop them? Some of them are based on real people. You know, If I Stay in particular, the mom, the dad, Kat and Denny and Teddy were based on real people. And Adam even was sort of based on my husband, and when I first wrote the draft, I named him Nick, and I gave it to Nick. And I'm like, look, I named the love interest after you. Isn't that sweet? And he's like, no, it's creepy. So I had to change it. But every character I write is based on somebody I know and has some of me in it. So there's a character in Just One Year named Brocha. That is my brother-in-law, down to the nickname. His nickname is Brocha. It means sandwich in Dutch. And I basically just put him in whole cloth like that. But there's bits of me and people I know kind of mixed in. And in terms of how I develop them is that I get to know them as I'm writing the way that you would get to know a friend as you get deeper into a relationship. So you discover things about them, and then you kind of go back and you kind of seed that in other parts. So they all become very, very, very real to me. And that's, I think, how they hopefully become real on the page.
We have a question over there somewhere. Right? You got a question?
Yeah, I did. Which book were you most emotionally attached to?
I think If I Stay was based on a real life sort of tragedy, and the parents and Teddy were based on real people. So when I was writing that book, it was like these friends of mine who were gone were in the room with me. So that I was super emotionally attached to, and it felt so deeply personal. And also as I was writing it, I didn't think anybody else was going to ever read it, so it was like very just kind of liberating and free. So in that way, the most emotionally fraught book to write was Where She Went. It was a lot harder.
And we have a question down here.
Yeah.
If you were to go down another career path other than writing, what would it be?
Oh, if I was going to go to another career path than writing, I would be a travel agent. And I like to plan all of my friends' holidays because I'm really good at that stuff, like the logistics, the flights, this, that. I'm super good at that. And also, like, I love to travel, and I don't get to travel enough. So, you know, if I have friends who's like, I don't know where to go for my spring vacation, I'm like, well, what do you feel like doing? And I will then send like an email listing of like, 5 different possibilities. So unfortunately, like, travel agents as a career, like, they're just dying because you can do it all yourself. But that's what I would do.
Okay, we've got time for one more question.
Or I can book your trip, come see me after. Let me know where you want to go.
One more.
You got another one?
Yeah, how long does it take to edit one of your books?
Oh, the editing, that's a good question because that's different from the writing. I edit as I go, so even when I'm drafting a first draft, I'm going back and editing. And I number drafts when I significantly change them, and I think, like, generally speaking, I get to about 20. Yeah. So it depends, each one. The original drafting process takes a certain amount of time, and then I edit on the screen, and then I edit on paper, and then I edit on the screen again, and then I edit on paper, and then I read it out loud until I can read the entire thing out loud without throwing up. And then I turn it into an actual editor at the publisher, and then they give me all these notes that make me usually have to go and do a giant revision where I do that all over again. So it depends also how quick the editor is and where the deadline is, but usually I would say the process from sort of starting a book to completing it is probably 18 months to like me never seeing it again. And that's fast. That's fast. There's writers out there that take 10 years to complete a novel. Yeah.
Right, we're going to go to the book signing now. You've all been told that you can be late to your letters, so we have got time for the book signing, but I'd like to thank Gayle for that. I thought it was a really interesting way of generating some ideas for narrative.